And I want to bring in ABC News contributor, former FBI agent Brad Garrett, for more on this. Brad, the FBI says the suspect started posting multiple videos to Facebook as he was heading to New Orleans, and I think shortly after he arrived, claiming, among other things, that he joined ISIS before last summer. Is there any indication yet about how he may have been radicalized, how you end up getting a U.S. Army veteran from Texas who then ends up joining ISIS?
So, Diane, it's hard to say, but the typical path is it starts online. He may well, to Pierre's point, hooked up with a ISIS recruiter. Typically, what they do is get you into the fold and then encourage you to go commit some violent act. But the typical profile of these folks is that they feel lost, they feel disillusioned, they feel powerless, and they start looking at different things online, and sometimes it leads them to religious extremist stuff, and they become fascinated with it. And after they become fascinated with it, in particular if they're getting fed the following: a lot of attention, a lot of support, a lot of that you're a special person, and that basically there is evil all around you if people don't think the way we think. And that may take weeks, it may take months. If the person then is like infatuated with it, they then have to believe it. They have to believe that the only action that they can justify to support this extremist ideology is violence. And then that's the third step, obviously, is that they have to be convinced in their own mind that violence is the way to go, and they glorify it. They're encouraged to make videos, apparently like he did on his way to New Orleans, because it's like he's proud of what he's doing because he believes it's the right cause. When people get so depressed and down and feel hopeless, these groups, and it doesn't have to be ISIS or Al-Qaeda, it can be domestic terrorism groups in this country that pull you in and convince you that their way of thinking is the only way. And so I think he got to that point for a number of things we don't know about at this point, but felt probably just fine doing what he was doing, knowing he was going to die. Because let's face it, if you're going to pull off or attempt to pull off something he pulled off initially, it's going to be a suicide mission, and you know that in your mind before you go. And I think all that played into what happened early New Year's Day.
Brad, the FBI says he also posted about a plan to harm his own friends and family, but then changed that plan, wanting headlines about a war between believers and non-believers. And you say that language really stuck out to you. Why?
Because what extremist groups attempt to do is cut you off from everyone that's around you, who you work with, your family, and they all become basically sort of not human to you anymore because they don't believe what you now are believing. And so you're totally justified in harming anybody that's quote-unquote a non-believer, which is what he assumed he was doing, I suppose, in New Orleans. Clearly killing off his family, not obviously knowing anything about them, could be one of those justifications. But another important point is that he logically went through that deluded thinking, but he went through it knowing that he wouldn't make as big a presence, wouldn't get the media attention, wouldn't have us talking about it, days later. If he would have killed his family, it would have been a local event. And so he was looking for the max in glorification, despite the fact that he died. And I think that's the reason he went to New Orleans and didn't kill his family.
All right, ABC News contributor, former FBI agent Brad Garrett. Thank you, Brad.